We'll mute it. There we go. Just because this has its own audio and its own music, and I don't want to mess with that. So as you see, I played a little bit earlier. But we're gonna start a new game this time. I also didn't pay attention fully to the storyline because I was focused more on the audio and settings and stuff. The streets of Undermere are narrow and claustrophobic. In many places, the buildings lean out at the upper floor so that neighbors can reach across and shake hands, or, more likely, exchange unpleasantries. Oh yeah, look at that. Strange Horticulture is a small shop situated away from the main thoroughfares, but it has the advantage of being one of the few buildings in Undermere that stands alone. Plants, you may have noticed, need light, and light is in short supply at street level in this town. That must be so bleak to not have light at the street level and shit. Recently, the shop passed to me after the death of my uncle. There's much to learn, but one thing is already clear. The rare and unusual plants that he stocked have their uses after all. This seems pretty cool. This game features some small text. If you're having difficulty reading, you can hold shift to zoom in. I'll try to zoom in as much as I can. Oh, that's cool. I found it, an excerpt on the elusive wandering boo. Even when I was messing around with things before and I was like messing with the plants and stuff, I still don't know what this says. Boo? Come to the library in Ambleside and I'll tell you all about it. I even found something on the gilded dendra that might be of interest. Simone. P.S. Give Hellebore a good scratch behind the ear for me. Oh my gosh, he's all hidden! Look at this little kitty! I'll give you a little pat. Give you a little pat. Ooh. Okay. So this bell is glowing. Oh. I must have walked past this shop 100 times without ever stopping to look. What a wonderful place to spend your day surrounded by plants. I came here because I have an unusual request. At night I hear whispered voices too faint to hear clearly coming from the floor above me. Nobody lives up there. The rooms are empty. My curiosity has got the better of me. I must find out what they're saying. St. John's Poppy. Okay, so this is a letter, so we're gonna put that there for now. Book of Plants. Wilfred Voynich. Okay, so... Oh, that's cool. Alright, St. John's Poppy. The vibrant petals of this flower can be brewed to create a draught that can greatly improve the imbiber's hearing ability. The flowers of the St. John Poppy are bright red with a yellow center. Right off the bat, I'd assume it's this, right? Flowers are red with a sweet scent. Yeah, they've got the yellow in the middle, and they look like these. Ooh, what's that? Ooh. Okay, let's put that away. Oh, sorry, it's a letter, not a clue. Okay, I'm gonna assume that. Hey! Oh, cool. Book entry. Oh, you get another... Oh, that's cool. Even though I played this earlier, I took a nap, and now it's, like, all gone from my memory. Just had to wipe my nose super quick. Click, quick. Very cool. Okay, so... Labels. Can I... Ooh. St. John's... Whoa! John's Poppy. Okay. Let's give it this purple. I think I'm just gonna go with whatever looks good, and if I eventually need to sort these for, like, good and bad or something, because they're plants. If I ever need to sort them as, like, oh yeah, this is good, this is bad, this is mid, then I'll change the colors, I think. You know, before we call in our next person, let's see if we can identify the rest of these plants we have. Holy shit, we have so much space. Damn! Okay. Let's see, Bishop's Parasol. Mushroom found in dark, damp places, feeding on any light that gets close to it. It can seem to draw light in, enveloping its surroundings in darkness. Sebum milky fluid. It smells strongly of soured milk, bad enough for my eyes. Okay, so that smells like soured milk. But it's... Oh. In fact, the undersides are somewhat sharp. Red warts protrude from the caps. Are there any more? It's the one I just checked, yeah? Yeah, okay, so we don't have any more mushrooms. Clavilium. According to legend, clavilium can be used to open any lock, no matter how complex or secure. Could you imagine having a plant that could unlock anything? The heart-shaped leaves have earned this plant the nickname Lovelock. That doesn't look like heart shapes. Ooh, maybe. Yeah, these look like the leaves. So we'll mark this as clavilium. And we'll put like a little question mark. We can get rid of the question mark later, I'd assume. Oh, that's cool. It automatically gives it to me. That's sick. Then I have no idea what this is. But this is supposed to be like a puzzle game to an extent, so I'd assume that's something for later. That too. Dangerous plant grows sparsely in the hills to the northeast of Back Barrow. Keep it secret. Okay. A spongy mushroom with potent abilities, only safe to consume in small quantities. Grants great strength for short periods at the expense of severe fatigue once the effect is worn off. That's so fucking cool. Forest camphor. The strong-smelling bulb of this plant has a powerful soporific effect, making it a common ingredient in sleeping draughts. Camphor produces a beautiful, rounded, dark blue cluster made up of many smaller flowers. This? Ooh! Bulb. Bulb. Bulb! And it's dark blue. The leaves are waxy. It doesn't say anything about the leaves. So we'll mark this as forest camphor. Question mark. Okay. I think I kind of want to organize this a little bit, so let's keep the ones that we think we know maybe over there, and we'll just bring everything else this way. Oh, wait! Oh, I thought these were ones I hadn't seen earlier. Damn, I got so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, the mushroom one might be over here. Okay, I can't... From what it says, I wouldn't be able to tell which of these are farmers worry, if either of them, so I'm not even going to try. Fox button. Offering a fox button is considered by some to represent a contract of friendship between strangers. These thick, shiny leaves grow in opposing pairs along the stem. These look sharper. These are more rounded. I might be taking this too literal, but... Ooh, wait. No, sharp again. Ooh, these are rounded? That might be fox button. Fox button. Question mark. And I think I want fox button to be purple. I'm just going with my vibes, like my thoughts, you know? Gandy root. A plant with medicinal properties and can aid with digestive troubles when prepared correctly. Care must be taken, however, as the rough leaves can be an irritant. Only the petals are safe for consumption. Okay, so this is drooping downward. The leaves are coarse to the touch. Maybe. Blue flowers, light, airy scent. I think those are the only ones that are, like, drooping down like that. Oh, except for this one. The single pink flower that smells pleasant. Okay. So... I'm gonna go for now and just skip Gandy root. Harlequin blue. When the bushy blue flower heads die back, they release seeds with a downy pappus, which assists in wind dispersal. Once dried and hardened, the stems can be burned as incense. As they burn, they let out high-pitched shrieks, widely believed to be the spirits of dead souls trapped within the plant. That's some... This might be Harlequin blue. Blue flowers. So these are both blue. One's like a light blue, one's just straight blue, I think. Even though it doesn't look super blue, but if they're saying it's blue, I'll go with it. Okay, it looks more blue here. So either one of these could be Harlequin blue, so I think I'm gonna leave that as well. Its curled leaves are thought to be... Oh! Curled leaves. This has curled leaves. So this is probably Lemon Dandy. Lemon Dandy? Question mark. Pull you over here, big boy. And then this one might be Harlequin blue then. Harlequin blue. And because it's blue, I'm gonna give it a red tag. Mary's Breath. The wide waxy leaves allow the plant to collect the large amount of water it requires. It is said that a person can be bound to secrecy using Mary's Breath. It used to be grown in the royal garden so that the king could ensure the trust of his confidants. But the practice fell out of favor. Well, I would hope so. Shit. Smooth, waxy leaves. They are wide, and this is saying waxy. So this might be Mary's Breath. Mary's Breath. And like I said before, we're going to get more plants. So some of these that feel like they fit now might be changed later. Among other uses for this plant, the most remarkable is that it can allow a person to pass unnoticed. Though not invisible, it is possible to come hidden from sight and memory. The mellow glow has sharp thorns that protect it from its predators. This plant has thorns. But it's not mentioning the thorns or anything, and it doesn't show it, so I'm gonna leave it for now. Wren. The long leaves of the wren are known to turn black in the presence of certain poisons, and so can be used to detect them. Though it has no flower, it is said to smell unpleasant to those who have known death and sweet to those who have not. Those leaves kind of look like it. Ooh, wait. It has a scent that scratches at the back of my throat. Does that mean I've known death if this is the wren? A little spooky. Again, tagging it red, but if we find out later that it'd be better to, like, change the colors depending on... Oh, it checked it off! Because we know what one's the St. John's Poppy. That's cool as fuck. I'm gonna move it over just a little bit. But if we find out that it would be better to color code these based on, like, how dangerous they are or something, then I'll change the colors, because red for wren does not make that much sense, considering it said that it's used to detect poisons. Also known as blue aloe or blue winter after its cool blue-gray flowers. Winter boar is a hardy plant often found growing in extreme cold environments. The rubbery leaves make an effective insect repellent when applied to the skin. Excuse me. I would love a plant. This doesn't look like it. Blue flowers, stiff leaves. It doesn't say anything about rubbery leaves. And it is blue, but it says blue-gray here. So I'm going to leave that for now. Alright, so it looks like that's everything in the book. So I think we're going to continue. David Schaefer. Good morning. Bloody awful weather out there today. Good for the plants, though, eh? Got a letter for you. Ooh, for me? Ooh. There's like a little dun, dun, dun. Gosforth is a hateful town. I was beaten and robbed and left to die in the streets. After many days, I was rescued by a kind stranger, just as I had come to fear that wickedness had infected the heart of every soul in that cursed place. I began my recovery in the woods to the south of the town with a group of travelers. On the northeast corner of the wood, I sat and stared at a bright flower, and tears flowed down my face at the reminder that there's beauty in this world. I shall be returning to Undermere soon. Warmest regards, Amos Duncan. Alright. Ooh, wait. Let's go for this one first. Grows sparsely in the hills to the northeast of Backbarrow. Okay, Backbarrow. Backbarrow. Northeast. So here. Damn. Wait! Oh no! Oh no, I wasted it. That has to be full. I have neither the time nor the inclination. You can water your plants using the watering can to earn will to explore. Oh, so you can... Ooh, okay, okay, okay. Where's the watering can? Right here. I'm assuming you'll tell me when it's done. Oh, just like that. Sick. That's cool that even if you don't water your plants, it slowly fills up over time. So if you're doing other shit, that'll fill up in the background. The will to explore meter. That's cool. Very sick. I wonder if you can, like... Oh, and this doesn't let you click, but this is like a map to look at. That's cool. What was I gonna say? I don't remember. No. Here it is. Okay, let's see. Gosforth. Alright, here. I began my recovery in the woods to the south of the town with a group of travelers on the northeast corner of the woods. I sat and stared. Okay, so here? Ooh, the wood has a calming effect on my mind. It does me good to escape in nature, away from the stench and clamor of Undermere. It is not long before I spy a bright flower among the trees. Ooh, oh, you're pretty. You're very pretty. Oh, wait, there was something about curling leaves earlier. That was, yeah. So this might be Lemon Dandy. Oh, no. Oh, boy. Oh, yeah, okay, let's put this away, because I don't know about that archive. Ooh, wait, can I... Hey! I'm assuming I'll just put all the finished papers, or, like, the finished clues in there. But I think we're ready for our next customer. Gilbert Ames. Something's got these witches in the forest stirred up. They're not letting anyone through. I had to take the long way around, down through Back Barrow. I never did trust that sisterhood. Anyway, I'm here now, and I've brought Fennett from the south to trade for some lemon dandy. Oh, no! Hardly worth the trouble when you factor in the extra miles I've had to cover to get here. So if we give him lemon dandy, he'll give us Fennett? Is Fennett even in our book? No. So I'm assuming we'll get the plant and the page? Maybe? So this is what I thought. This was what I thought was lemon dandy. Hey! I was genuinely worried it was going to be wrong. Okay, so where did that go? Right here. Lemon dandy? Or no. It's Fennett. Fennett. Purple. Cute. Here, let's move it over. Put the lemon dandy there. Yes, okay. So we can edit it afterwards. Cool. I feel so happy when I get these right. In the hills to the northeast of Becker. Wait, here? Hey! The weather changes fast out in the hills. What started as a gray morning has turned into bright sunshine. A good thing, too, because it takes me several hours to find what I came for. By the time I'm done, the cloud is sweeping back over, a cloak of unwelcome shade. Ooh, that one's cool. Ooh. That one looks really fucking sick, actually. Okay, so that's done. Red fruits, long fact. Oh, I haven't read anything about fruit. So I'll leave it, I guess. I don't want to, like, misname things and then use them wrong. But I guess that'll happen. Excuse me. Faye Swift. My dreams are becoming more vivid. I saw a woman, her face hidden behind a mask, and next to her, a terrifying black skeletal creature. It stood tall, its roving head scanning the landscape, and though it had no discernible face, I could sense a hint of an expression about its features. It seemed to be laughing. Not the joyous laughter of a child, a sickly, horrifying laughter that chilled me like the first breath of winter. These past weeks have been getting worse. I need sleep. Alright, did I name something Forest Camphor? Fox button, Wren. Here, okay. Let's try it. Oh, I'm good at this. Butterdale. Often found growing in clumps on valley sides, butterdale has been used for centuries as a cure for all manner of skin rashes. The dark green leaves can be stewed and mulched to form a poultice. The flowers smell buttery to some people. Okay. So, boom, forest camphor. Let's move you. Oh, it did that dun-dun-dun again. Is there someone above my shop or something? Is that what I'm hearing? It's gotta be. Nora Butterfield. Got any wandering boo? That always reminds me of... Oh, what's his name? That old hermit inventor, the Wanderer. Anyways, the boo, if you've got it. Okay. I don't have an entry for Wandering Boo in my plant book yet. Simone mentioned something about it in her note. I should visit the library oh! In Ambleside. Okay. Ambleside, sorry. Ambleside. The library here in Ambleside is one of my favorite haunts. Simone the librarian is always helpful and friendly and shares some of my passion for unusual plants. Today she's grinning ear to ear and can't wait to show me what she's found. Ooh, 2 book entries. Gilded Dendra, Wandering Boo. Do not drink the sap of this plant. The lips and veins will turn black as the blood succumbs to Dendra's miasma, a sure and painful way to die. The poison is so potent that even touching the leaves on the plant can be painful. Okay. So called because this fungus can move slowly in the dark, it has been known to cover distances of up to several meters in a single night. The gills on the underside of this mushroom form beautiful flowing lines. They're sharp. They are also quite hard and sharp, earning this plant the nickname Fingersbane. Wild. So that's done. Ooh, that feels nice, only having one thing and the letters and clues. That feels good. Okay. So, it's one of these two. In fact, the undersides are somewhat sharp, and that's what it said that this was. Okay. Ooh, Lady of Summer. Leaves curl round delightfully, which combined with an attractive flower and hardy nature make this a sought-after ornamental plant. Aids with conditions of memory deterioration associated with old age. That's so cool! Okay, so... where was it? It was this one. Wandering. I feel like a red. Mix it up a little bit because we have so many other ones up there. It's like a Butterdale. I don't think we have any that have leaves like that. Bones are breaking and hearts are shaking. Everybody's dead. What I said. Ooh, Gilded Dendra. We haven't looked at that one. Okay. So it has leaves kind of like this guy, but we already know what that guy is. Ooh, maybe this one? Red fruit. Oh yeah, that one's got fruit. Well, we might not have it yet. Lady of Summer. The leaves curl round deliciously. Oh wait, this curls. A single sweet-smelling dark flower. So this might be Lady of Summer. Lady of Summer. Question mark? It feels so silly to be putting a question mark at the end. But, I mean, it's helping me kind of keep these things in check, so. Okay. Ooh, end of day. Oh, end day. Whoops. Row H, the third river. It started when she found something that she was not meant to find. A book tucked away in a forgotten corner of the Ambleside library. Okay. Row H, the third river. H. 1, 2, 3. Yeah! A dead deer in the river, yellowed bone protruding from matted hide and rotten flesh. Death for one provides life for many. Fair. Yep. Yep. Okay. First customer, please. Isidore Burbage. Bring me a sample of Apis demesis, and be quick about it. That damn cat is setting off my... Excuse me? Don't be mean to Hellebore like that. He has a weird fucking name, but he's lovely, okay? Fuck off. Shouldn't have an animal in a shop like this. Well, you shouldn't be in a shop like this, bitch. Go away. Fucking telling me the Latin name, too. Amos demesis. Apis demesis. Oh, wait. Dandy root. Apis demesis. This was one that I didn't figure out. Leaves are coarse to the touch. Oh, wait, maybe this? Now that we have it? My fingers ache from handling this plant. And it says, care must be taken, however, as the rough leaves can be an irritant. Is it this one? Oh, no. I need to be more careful. That wasn't the right plant. I must be prepared for next time. I don't like the noise that went through. Blue flowers, stiff leaves. It's not this, right? I'd assume it would say that the leaves hurt. No? Oh wait, this kind of has that shape. No. I'm just checking all of them now. I feel like some of these are very specific, so they would be something else. Blue flowers, stiff leaves. No. Fuck. I don't know. Did I look at this one? I looked at that. Am I wrong? It wouldn't, that it would be painful or no? It smells like wood smoke. Pink flowers smell wonderful. Do I not have it yet, maybe? I don't have any clues. Apis demesis. Okay, so I tried that one, right? Or wait, did I try that one? Let's try this. What? Meek dew. Beautiful flower. The beautiful flowers made up of many smaller florets make this a sought-after decorative plant, although it is difficult to care for. It may be a pleasant-looking plant, but touching the leaves against bare skin will result in painful sores. So it was this one. Dandy root. I'll give you like a purple tag, I think. Oh, wrong area. Okay. Oh, they automatically push each other over. Look at that. Wait. Oh, I can't do it there. Yeah, see that? That's cool. So you can really stack them in there, huh? You could put, what, 7 on there? So what was the new one? Meek dew. And it said the leaves hurt. Beautiful flower made up of smelly, many smaller florets. Many smaller blue flowers. Wait. These look exactly the same. This picture and these little flowers. So I am going to change the tag I gave it to Meek dew. Because I have a feeling that's Meek dew. put the music back on. Okay. Next guy. Oh, mailman. Lake Undermere is looking fine in the sunshine today. Here's your mail. Thank you. Ooh, it's got a seal. There's an old slate mine at Hard Knot that has some interesting looking fungi growing in it. I've never seen anything like them before. They seem to have found a niche in the damp dark tunnels left by the tramways. I thought you might be interested. Warmest regards, Amos Duncan. That's our second letter from Mr. Duncan. So, Hard Knot. Hard Knot. Ooh, White Scar Cave. Yeah, that sounds cool. Royal Cave. Oh, Hard Knot. An iron gate rusted by years of abandonment sits across the entrance to the tram tunnel. Rusted it may be, but it won't budge. Locked. Put that away for now. Oh, we need Clavilium. Oh no. I just renamed something because I didn't think it was Clavilium. Oh, but it's the only one with the heart-like leaves. So maybe it is Clavilium. Aw, damn. So I don't know what Meekdu is then. Aguria. Light blue flowers, like rounded tufts of gentle lambswool. No, that one's labeled. So... So this is Clavilium, my original guess. And then... Oh, we're gonna get more plants anyway. So let's move over just a little bit because I think it just slaps the plants wherever. Yeah. Ooh, those are cool as fuck mushrooms. Is that one glowing? That's sick. Seems to give off a small amount of light. That's sick as fuck, dude. So, light blue flowers, huh? That's the only light blue flower that I have, but it's labeled. And it's in the section that is not question marks, so it's definitely lemon dandy. Okay, I guess we'll have to figure it out later. Reuben Ward. I'm heading to Grisdale Forest, investigating a possible murder there. Can't say I'm looking forward to it. The Sisterhood are a secretive lot, and they're not keen to talk to me. Their leader, the Arda, or whatever they call her, she's dead. Excuse me. My instinct is they're hiding something. I was hoping you might have some fox button that would help me win them over. I do have possible fox button right here. Yeah! I'm so good at this. I'm so good at this. Brimlock. Okay. So it was this. That's really cool that if you hover over it, it brings up the tag. Okay, we're gonna move these over. Cool. So, since we have more, let's check these out, see if anyone with Bishop's Parasol. Ooh, a viscous white liquid that can be seen oozing from its underside. So this might be Bishop's Parasol. Bishop's Parasol. Nope. Capitalize, goddammit. Parasol. There we go. Let's give you purple. Oh wait, question mark. Whoops. Talk that sick talk. There we go. Bishop's Parasol. We get the Wren up there as well. Now that I know how many can fit on these, typically, I'm gonna fit as many as I can. The leaves are waxy and tough. Blue flower stiff leaves. Small leaves, delicate flower. That's the exact leaf. There's a buttery scent. Butterdale, buttery scent. Okay, so this is Butterdale. I'm fairly certain, but until we have this, like, until we have any of these confirmed, I'll keep them as question marks. This is fruit. I'm not gonna... Okay. What else? Farmer's Worry. Spongy mushroom with potent abilities. Only safe to consume in small quantities. It smells rotten. Cool. This might be Farmer's Worry. But it has a scent to it. I don't know. Okay, well. Next person. Victoria Gray. I was able to make out the whispered voices last night with the help of the St. John's Poppy. It's a medium using the room illegally, I might add, holding midnight seances for gullible grievers. Is there a plant you know of that I could use to give them a scare and drive them away? I need my sleep. We do have a possible Harlequin blue, don't we? Yeah, right here. Here you go. Yeah! I know my shit! Shimmerlung. Okay, so it was this one. Fuck yeah, dude. Very sick. Bethany Coleman. You may have heard the rumors that our Arda is dead. May Ardwina bring her spirit peace. Established religion. The nature of her death is unusual. The sisterhood does not often look to outside help. This is beyond our knowledge. If you show my sisters this letter, they will allow you entry to the forest. To be assured of your discretion, we require that you use Mary's breath to bind yourself to secrecy. Is that Mary's breath? Oh, shit. Oh, no. I don't like that that is a skull. I don't want to figure out what that does. The wide waxy leaves allow this plant to collect large amounts. Okay, what did it say? Waxy. Yeah! Alright. Ooh, I get a letter. Ooh, had a seal on it. But like a seal. We have failed in our duty as protectors of the forest. Our secrets have been stolen and the Arda has been murdered. You will find us deep in Grisdale Forest, a mile from the lakeshore across from Torver. Please help us. Excuse me. Okay, so... this is Mary's breath. Yeah, let's keep it yellow, I guess. So... You'll find us deep in Grisdale Forest. Oh, right there. Forest. A mile from the lake shore. There's like a little mile marker. That's cool. So, a mile from the shore. Across from Torver. Oh, this way. So here? Yeah! Sister tries to stop me from entering, but I show her the letter and she lets me through. I am ushered into a walled courtyard and then through a large oak door, along corridor and down a set of stone stairs into a cool basement. Lying on a table, draped in silk, is the Arda. There's not a mark on her, but her open eyes are black, her mouth, her veins, her hair, all black as a raven's wing. Do you know what could do this? Asks my escort. I set to work. Oh yeah, Ren! Because it detects poisons. Very cool. Ooh, gray sandfire. Okay. So, before I forget to, let me fix that. Move it over here. I extract a sample of the artist's blood and introduce it to the wren, and my suspicions are confirmed immediately. The leaves of the wren turn black, which can only mean one thing: gilded dendra poisoning. Upon presenting my findings, I am rushed away quickly. The sisters do not want me hanging around, it seems. They do, however, send me on my way with a couple of plants, which I am grateful for. Yeah, plants! Oh, that looks like the one that we just got. Wait. Alright, let's clean up our workstation a little bit. No. This. It looked like this. Shimmerlung. Purple gives me a shimmer vibe, so. Actually. I keep forgetting the question mark. Okay. Put you up there. Oh wait, there it is. Gray sandfire. Sandfire is a tough outer bark, which has many useful properties. Some chew it as a form of dental hygiene, taking care not to swallow it as it can cause unpleasant stomach distress. The flame-like tendrils give off a smoky scent, adding to the impression of a roaring fire. The only one that I can think of that has like a bark look to it is this one. Smells faintly of wood smoke. So I'm assuming this is gray sandfire. Because it's got like a fire name. I'll make it red. Next customer. Ooh, Isidore Burbage, you're back. I'm this close to reporting you, half-wit. The last plant you gave me has made my skin itch furiously. I'll have your little shop shut down and torn to the ground if you don't make this right. Fucking excuse me? I need to think carefully about which plant to use here. My actions could have consequences. Oh, is that why it's giving me the choice? I didn't realize this was a your actions have consequences game. It's been used for centuries as a cure for all manner of skin rashes. Okay, and we have Butterdale. Butterdale. Yeah! Storian. The dark red fruit should not be ingested under any circumstances. They are highly poisonous, resulting in insanity and then death. The cross-section of the stem shows the distinctive triple xylem and phloem of the Storian. So this is definitely Butterdale. Butterdale. I'm gonna make it yellow, because butter. Look at that. Look at all the ones that we've labeled. Damn, it's only our second day. We're so good at this. We're so fucking good at this. Okay, so... what was the new one? Storian. We have a thing that has red... dark red fruit. Red fruits, long flat leaves. So this might be Storian. Okay. Yuck you up here. And end the day. North of Hawkshead, east of Lowick, west of Rusland, south of Crinkle Crags. The book both fascinated and terrified her in equal measures, and after studying it for some time, she reached a decision. She would never use the powers she had discovered. She would hide the book where it could never be found. Ooh, look at the moon! Oh, you can read it together! That's so cool. It's Sunday! Okay, let's see if we can figure out where this is. North of Hawkshead. East of Lowick. Okay. East of Lowick. West of Rustland. So in here somewhere, this line. South of Kringle Crag. So north of So here. Yeah! My eyes are drawn to the silhouette of a grizzled old man standing at the edge of a field. His mind is broken, seemingly beyond repair. Vacant eyes fixate on nothing. A whisper of an expression as my gaze sweeps his face, but only a whisper. He raises his arm, points. I follow his outstretched finger and am surprised to find a cluster of wildflowers growing there, hidden from view. That's cool. Oh, they're so pretty! Oh, I love them. I love them. Okay, let's see if we can identify these before we go on to our customer of the day. Light blue flower. This is like a dark blue. Yeah. So we still don't know about that one. I'd assume, because we keep getting more plants, I'm assuming the ones that we can't label yet are ones we're going to find later. Brimlock. Wait. Small yellow flowers. These are waxy and tough. So this is either Mary's Breath. Oh, wait. Do we have Mary's Breath already? We do. So this is probably Brimlock, huh? Brimlock. There we go. Okay. Wilbur Miller. Hi, Wilbur. I'm looking for a plant. Lady of what's it, something or other. I'm no green-eyed drear, that's for sure. My mind isn't at all what it used to be. It's the one that's supposed to help with mental decline. Lady of Summer. Here we go. Yeah! Ooh, and we get a book entry. Fennett. Oh, that's the one that I got previously. This one. This guy. Okay. Okay, so we know this is Lady of Summer now. So we put you over here. He said he'd trade us for Fennett, that guy way back. So I'm gonna assume that this is Fennett still. But I want to make sure. Chewing the tough root of this plant is said to ease gastric distress and reduce anxiety. It's long, soft leaves. The leaves are quite soft. Okay. Dude, I wish I had some Fennett. I'd chew on those leaves constantly. My fucking anxiety's through the roof. If I could help it, great. David Schiffer! They're saying the Arda has been killed. I've heard that. I know a lot of people don't trust that sisterhood, but it seemed to me the Arda always looked out for the less fortunate. Oh. Oh, another sealed one. From Amos. The cold is too much to bear beyond the gap. I was forced to turn back. I would advise against it, but if you are determined to explore Great Gable, be sure to take precautions. Knowing you, I'm sure you'll have a plant up your sleeve that can keep you warm should the weather turn against you. Okay. Great Gable, huh? I'd assume it's somewhere up here because it's cold. Great Gable. Oh yeah, all the way up here. Holy shit. After several hours of arduous hiking and scrambling, I am still some distance from the summit. I'm freezing cold and ready to head home. I should do the sensible thing and turn back down the mountain. Unless... Brimlock. Yeah, baby! We got Sunset Mount Trap. It's a type of fungus with domed caps, sometimes called stinking mount cap, as a result of its unpleasant odor. It is thought to deter unwanted souls and spirits from entering the home, and is often placed in doorways. It is mildly toxic to humans and should not be eaten. Okay. I'll have to look back at my, my fungi and see if it fits. Block. Okay, we get another plant. Let's slide over a little bit. Yeah. Oh, you're pretty. A lot of these are pretty but deadly. I think that's the lesson we're learning here. Okay, so let's put this in archives. That away. Ding ding. Norman Lee. Hello. This plant is cursed. It has brought me nothing but sorrow. Please take it. I want nothing more to do with it. Okay. Oh yeah, mushroom! Ooh, 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 ooh. Warts growing on it. Sorry, I'm thinking about the... What was it? We had a new entry. Sunset Mount Trap. Also known as the Stinking Mount Cap. Oh, Mount Cap, not Mount Trap. Mount Cap. It's not determined. Is mildly toxic to humans and should not be eaten. Oh, Stinking Mount Cap is a result of its unpleasant odor. It has an unpleasant odor, so this is probably Sunset Mount Cap, also known as Stinking Mount Cap. Mount Cap. There we go. Purple because it's stinky. I don't really understand my own logic there, but we're gonna just deal with it. Hellebore! Always a pleasure, my feline friend. I hope he hasn't been nibbling the plants again. Hellebore? Never. My boy would never. I have a favor to ask. You owe me for the hours I spent digging out the information on those plants. He was purring! I felt it. I can literally feel the, like, purr in my headset. I've been burning the midnight oil in Cayusum Common Trout, so I know where to find it. According to Grayson's herbology, it grows in abundance on red pike. I'll come by the day after tomorrow to collect it. I have business in Sedberg in the meantime. Here, take this. Yeah! Okay, so she said red pike. Here. I enjoy a pleasant stroll up the fell. The going is easy, the weather agreeable, and the views majestic. I do not have to look hard to find what I am after. Hell yeah. So this is going to be common trouse. Some of these kind of give themselves away based on, like, the little objectives. But I'm not mad at it. I'm going to keep it over here, though, still, just in case. Because of that, let's throw a question mark on here. Oh, out of nowhere, I started thinking about this, this movie called The Crazies. It's, if you haven't watched it before, highly recommend. It's very good. It's, like a zombie apocalypse type movie. Or like an end of the world type movie. So if you don't like zombies or anything like that, or gore, I wouldn't recommend watching it. But, it's this movie where you're in this, like, small town, and their water supply gets essentially poisoned. So one by one, the residents of the town that have drank this water, become, like, insane. And I don't mean that in, like, a rude way or in, like, a typical, oh my gosh, they're insane type of way. Like, these people literally start murdering other people, and have, like, no self-control whatsoever. Like, they're just picking up weapons and just murdering the fuck out of each other in the most gruesome ways. Like, there's a point when, because there's a funeral home, because it's a small town, and if they didn't have a funeral home, it'd probably be, like, hell to, like, go to another town or whatever, because it's, like, in the middle of nowhere, essentially, is this town. But, in the funeral home at one point, the main character is the sheriff. So the sheriff goes in, and I think it's because he, like, heard a noise or something, but he goes in, and he finds, I think it was, like, the funeral home director or whoever, his mouth and eyelids are sewn shut. And I don't remember if he was, like, injured or what, or if that was just the reason he was laying there, was just, like, the sewing. But he's, like, laying on a slab in the back of the funeral home where they would have the bodies and everything. And he's just sewn up with a sheet over him. and very much still alive. Like I said, I don't know why he was just laying there, but he was still alive. I think he might have just been playing dead. But it's shit like that that's kind of like grisly and creepy and scary. And over time throughout the movie, you figure out what poisoned the water, how it happened, yada yada. And it ends off on like a cliffhanger, sort of. I kind of wish they had a second movie, but excuse me, it's kind of old, so I don't expect there to be one. Highly recommend though. Verona Green. When you work with the occult, I find it pays to uphold a certain image. If you're going to be accused of performing witchcraft anyway, it doesn't hurt to put on a bit of a show every now and then. Let the punters know what I'm capable of, sort of thing. Long story short, I may have threatened to turn a small boy into a toad, and the little bugger called my bluff. Oh, don't look at me like that. You know what little boys are like. I would never look at you like that. Go ahead. Turn him into a toad. I can assure you he deserves to be turned into a toad. Anyway, I think a little display is needed to discourage this sort of behavior in the future. Have you got any shimmerlung? You know what? I do have a possible shimmerlung. I'm pretty sure. Yep, right here. Here you go. Yeah! Plant identified. Candlewood. Produces a red flower that provides a shielding effect, protecting against all manner of afflictions of the mind. Long, thin stems grow among tall leaves. This one. Shimmerlung. Shimmerlung gets to go over here. Okay. And then it said red flowers. I kind of want to see if I have whatever that was. I don't remember though. Oh, candlewood. Produces a red flower that provides a shielding effect. Long, thin stems grow among tall leaves. Bright red flowers grow at the end of thin stems. So this is probably candlewood. Okay. Irving Harris. I don't like the way you came out of the shadows. Sorry if I'm shouting, I'm a little hard of hearing. I'm looking for a plant that can supposedly help me hear better, but I've forgotten what it's called. I remember it's bright red, though. I think it was St. John's poppy that helped with hearing, wasn't it? That can greatly improve the imbiber's hearing ability. Yep. There you go. Okay. We don't have any... No, we don't have any clues, so... End day. I kind of want a cookie. I might grab a cookie in a second. Ooh. Time passed. A year and then another. The book remained hidden, but out of sight. Did not mean out of... The book remained hidden, but out of sight did not mean out of mind. The book was what her thoughts settled on when she rested, what she brooded over when she did her chores, what she pictured when she dreamed. Brandy, stop it! My fucking dog, dude. She gets pissed when she can't come in the room, so then she starts barking. It's right there. Right here. Next to black comb. Yeah! The gentle sound of flowing water, the sunlight through scattered clouds. A reset. Oh! Oh, wait, that might be the blue, the light blue that I've been waiting for. I'm like freaking out. I'm like, this, Guria. A rather unpleasant scent. I don't remember having anything that was like unpleasant. Oh, I spooked him. Oh, sorry, bud. The fox button was no help, I'm afraid. The sisterhood still refused to speak openly with me. Not that I have the time to pursue it properly. I'm rushed off my feet this week. There's been a body found at the Swinside Stone Circle, and apparently it's a grisly one. Don't suppose you've got anything to help keep my lunch down? My stomach's never coped too well with the grisly ones. I do, actually. Here's Fennec. Yeah! Witch fig. A plant that is said to have many uses, including easing the symptoms of infection, soaking up moisture, and detecting the presence of certain compounds. It is also well liked by butterflies. It has similar leaves to the fever kiss plant, which it is often confused with. So I'm assuming we'll have to wait for the fever kiss plant before we can figure out that one. Damn. Oh, I put away right as Schaefer gets here. Morning. Rona Green handed me this for you. She seemed in a good mood. Okay. Oh, hello. Okay. I meant to tell you this yesterday, but it slipped my mind. I discovered a plant on a recent trip to Grisdale Forest, just northeast of Rustland. It was like nothing I've ever seen before. I would have brought it back with me if the Sisterhood had given me a moment alone, but they seem overly protective lately. Well, it's probably because their Arna is dead. So, what was that? Grisdale Forest. Just northeast of Rustland. So here. My eye itches. From the moment I step off the road, I can't shake the feeling I'm being watched. Suddenly, I find my way blocked by 3 women wearing green cloaks and holding short elm bows. Whoa! They're gonna fucking shoot me! Nobody may wander freely throughout the forest by order of the Arda. The art is dead, though, says the leader of the trio. I turn to walk back, but then again, I have a few tricks up my sleeve. Do I have Mellow Glow? I don't think I do. Okay, so Mellow Glow, huh? It's gotta be this one, because it's the only one I have currently that has those on it. Oh no! Okay, shit. I really don't want to find out what that skull is. Shit. I don't have anything that has thorns on it other than that one. Oh, wait! Duh, right here. Yeah! Caballia. Okay, let's label this before I forget. With the help of the Mellow Glow, I walk right past the sisters without them paying me any heed. Chuckling to myself, I collect— maybe you shouldn't be chuckling if you walk past them. They can't see you and then they just hear like, what? Chuckling to myself, I collect the plant that Verona talked about and take my leave. Ooh. Wait, shit. What had Verona said? Oh, she didn't name it. Damn, I was hoping she had named it so I could label it, but... Oh, sorry, baby. Faye Swift. I'm afraid. The camphor you gave me is helping me sleep, and I'm very grateful for it, but the visions are as strong as ever. The woman in the jade mask appears in my dreams every night. She screams at me, but I do not know why, and behind her that presence is always there, dark and dreadful. I don't know what to do. The dreams feel like a warning that I don't understand, a mosaic of color that refuses to come into focus. Some part of me wants to stare down that abyss, but I'm afraid. I have both of those. When burned, incense made from the woody stem can enhance psychic ability, strengthening the clarity of visions and prophecies. What does candlewood do? This one's tough. Produces a red flower that provides a shielding effect protecting against the manner afflictions of the mind. So, the candlewood will keep her from those dreams. The Auguria will make the visions clearer. Oh, I feel like it's kind of selfish for me to give her the Aguria when she says she's afraid. Shit. Okay. I might regret that, but I don't want to be an ass and make it worse. Borealis is an aptly named plant. Inhaling the smell of the flowers is said to help ease symptoms of anxiety. Okay, so it was this one. Candlewood. What'd I do? Whoop. There we go. Okay. So Caballia was one that I hadn't found yet. Almost always contain 6 petals, huh? That's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't tell about this one. That's way more. So that's not it. But I have a couple more over here as well I can look at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this might be it. Caballia. That reminds me of this this restaurant I used to go to. They might still be open. But it's been a long ass time since I've been there, so I have no idea. Carmelo's. They had really good food. I used to, because I was a kid when I used to go, so I used to always get, like, buttered pasta. Like, essentially spaghetti, but without the sauce. Because I think I'd get, like, the noodles and the meatballs and everything, but, like I said, minus the sauce. Don't fucking come for me for that, by the way. I've said it before, I'm picky, alright? And not in the, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to eat that. In the, like, I've tried it and I don't like it kind of way. But yeah, oh, those leaves kind of look like this, actually. A little bit. They're a little bit more tapered. This, maybe? No, there's a line. Ugh, I'm getting hiccups. This might be it. Wait, gray-blue flower. Oh, wait. We have something in here that was, like, gray-blue color. Mikdu, maybe? No. Winter boar? Yes! Here it is. Cool blue-gray flowers. So this is probably winter boar. Right? This is the... Oh, wait, no, it's not this one. Damn it, I'm gonna have 2 labeled winter boar because I don't know if we can get rid of these tags. Okay. Sorry if I keep moving around a lot. This chair slides quite a bit. Worry less. Let's look at the ones down here. This might be it. Worry less. Okay, so we still can't figure out the witch fig because we don't have the fever kiss yet. Okay. Margaret Elsbeth. We don't come to Undermere often, but I heard about your shop and I said to Francis, we simply must pay a visit. It's a wonderful breath of life in an otherwise dreary town. I'm the green-fingered one, and it's not really his cup of tea, but I persuaded him the trip would do him good, and besides, he'll be wanting to take a boat out on the lake. Shame about this awful weather, though. You must come to Sizerg. We have a small library with some books on plants that my grandfather acquired many years ago. I'm sure they would be of interest to a horticulturist such as yourself. Ooh, whoa. Lady Elsbeth? Hold the fucking phone. I just met a lady. Alright. Sizerg Castle. Sedberg. Oh, Sizerg. Right here. I'm greeted enthusiastically by Lady Elsbeth herself. She's very talkative and has many questions on horticulture that I do my best to answer, as she takes me on a tour of the gardens. Oh, you must take a sample of this back with you, she exclaims, pointing out a plant that I do not recognize. But before I can stop to take a look, she's already whisked me on to the next one. And this one too, she says. I'm quite exhausted by the time we make it to the library, and I don't have the time to make as thorough a study as I would like. Nevertheless, I am able to find an interesting entry that I note down. Don't forget these, Lady Elspeth cries as I make to leave. She thrusts the plants from the gardens into my hands, and I thank her warmly. Fever kiss! Leaves are pale. Is it this? Is it this? Is this fever kiss? Doesn't say anything about the leaves. That might be it. That might be fever kiss. Oh shit. Fever kiss. Okay. So these two obviously have very similar leaf colors. So I'm gonna assume this is a mess. I need to get this shit out of here. I can't click on anything. Oh, wait, no. Archives. It was witch fig. So I'm assuming this is witch fig. Witch fig. And it looks like this also has berries, because this is like a half. This is like half of a berry. Witch fig. Okay. Excuse me. I had a meatball sub and it is burpy today. I'm looking for a plant with yellow flowers and coarse leaves. It helps with my heartburn. Yellow flowers and coarse leaves. Would that be Gandy root? Yeah. Oh, I hiccup. Woo! Okay. Before we keep going, I'm gonna grab a cookie. My stepdad gets really bakey in the winter, or like for Christmas, he bakes a shit ton. So we have a shit ton of cookies around the house. Cookies of literally all kinds. I don't even know what these are. I took some upstairs, just to keep them cool in my mini fridge and have them away from the beast downstairs, aka my brother, who likes to eat everything in one go. So. They're saying Blackcomb is haunted now. Bradley Miller told me he saw the ghost of a huge deer, antlers and all. But then Bradley Miller also says he can talk to squirrels. Either way, there's something evil in them hills, and I'm not taking any chances. Awful what happened to that poor young man up at Swinside. I've come for some stinking Mount Cap. It has a bulb. Blue-green. Alright, I'm gonna assume it's none of these, so I'm going to say I don't have it yet. She lives alone in the castle to the northwest of the abbey. She buried her husband 3 miles to the east where the Everheart grows. At 15, her mother, strong, dependable, loving, was struck down by typhoid. The girl drew inward as her father turned to drink. I just realized it's kind of funny that we're playing Strange Horticulture, and on my desk, I have a little plant buddy. I was like, why am I so snacky? It's because we ate lunch or dinner really early. Abbey. Northwest. Oh, she lives in this castle. She buried her husband 3 miles to the east. A dead tree, its bark cracked and blackened by fire, stands alone on the hillside. Off to one side, a patch of flowers grow on a low mound. Ooh! That's all it says, pink flowers. I don't think I have any entries for pink flowers. Oh, sorry, Bubby. I must thank you. Last night, for the first time in weeks, my mind was calmed. I am no longer tormented by visions of the woman in the jade mask and that terrible monster. Okay, so I did good. Now I'm wondering if you have some worry list to keep my over-anxious thoughts at bay. I wonder what happens if you give her... if you give her the other option. Like, does she come back pissed? Or do you just have more insight? Firm leaves grow up the stems leading to blue flowers. Blue flowers, stiff leaves. And what was it called? Okay, so we're gonna say this is possibly Hop Heart. Okay. Simone Green! Do you have anything for me? I met a strange man on the road to Sedberg not 2 days ago. Stranger still, he asked after you. He said he had something for you, don't ask me what. So I told him where to find you, but he looked stricken when I mentioned Undermere. Said he doesn't come near towns at all if he can help it. He was head west, at least I think he was. He said he was looking for the Winster Spring. I'll write this down for you. Anyway, that's my news. Did you manage to find the plant I wanted? I did. Nope. Nope. Okay. Put that in there for now. Checking in a second. Cool. So, alright, let's see. Oh, is it because... Oh, because I put it away. It has to be actively out. Okay, that makes sense. Headed west from Sedberg. Possibly near to the source of the river Winster. Oh, here. Yeah! The hermit's camp is easy to find, nestled between two boulders above the spring. The cool remains of a fire ringed by stones is the only immediate sign that anyone was here. I call out, but there is no reply. The hermit is not here. The more thorough search of the campsite yields something interesting. Tucked off to one side, I discover some broken pieces of wood arranged on the floor. Down 2. Right 3. So where were we? We were here. Down 2. Right 3. Yeah! The camp at the Winster Spring has led me to another camp of sorts, and I am greeted by an eccentric man. Oh, yes, yes, ho, 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 the man said. You must take this, take it, take it. At his insistence, I received the looking glass that he thrust into my hands. He placed an envelope delicately on top of it. Oh, it's no use to me anymore. No use. Don't forget the red, ho ho ebony. I'm sure that he's quite mad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that too, honestly. It's a little fucking weird. It is said that the red ebony plant has the properties of uncovering that which is hidden or secret. I have perfected a device designed to use extract from the plant in concert with a viewing window in order to permit the user to see magics otherwise invisible to the naked eye. Secrets! Secrets! Okay, yeah, this is done. So do we have an entry for the red ebony? We don't. Hopefully we'll get it. Conrad Stanway. I am not long for this world, and I have decided that I want to be buried in a grave decorated with the rare and beautiful Caballia, like a Dreher huntsman with their Dranthium-covered tombs. Eyebright. Take care not to touch its brightly colored thorns. They will do no lasting damage, but they contain a small amount of venom that will cause severe pain for several days after. A plant that only grows to the south in warmer climates where they call it Loeth after a long-dead king. Known to improve eyesight at night in even the darkest places. Which one did I just use? Caballia. Okay. Move you over here. So what was the new one? I don't like that weird thump that goes through every once in a while. I don't know if you guys are picking that up, but I'm not a fan. A plant that only grows to the south in warmer climates. I only have one other plant that has thorns. But it's not talking about the thorns or anything. Does this have anything about the smell? No. It also doesn't have brightly colored thorns. So I'm going to assume that that's not it. Green mask. Oh my god, it's the lady that the other lady was dreaming about. Your reputation is growing, horticulturist. I hear you are the person to come to for plants that are difficult to acquire. My head feels like it's being torn in two lately. I'm looking for some hop heart. Well, lucky for you, I have a possibility of hop heart. Let's go. Copper Caledonian. That was another fungi, wasn't it? He's a fun guy, that one. Here it is. The red patches that are often seen growing on it are in fact a type of fungus themselves, not part of the plant. So this might be Copper Caledonian. Copper Caledonian? Yeah. Okay. This is called Copper Caledonian. I'm gonna do red. Oh, I haven't been putting question marks on these. There we go. Next person. Verona! My baby! Reuben Ward is called on my unique expertise to aid in his investigation at the Swinside Stone Circle. Unique expertise. He knows how to flatter an old woman when he wants something. I thought about telling him to suck an egg. Gave it a good long thought, actually, but my curiosity's gotten the better of me. He must be desperate if he's coming to me, and I'll bet they found something juicy down there. Signs of ritual sacrifice, maybe. I could do with some witch fig to take with me. I have some of that. Ooh, wait. Oh, I know which one that is. I remember. Because I was like, oh, that's a funky leaf. And it said that it fucking, like, does its own thing or something, right? Yeah! Okay, so what was it called? Jacob's Worth. I'm almost positive this is the only one that it could possibly be, but I should still be sticking to my organization system. Isidore Burbage. Oh, this bastard. I never see anybody in your shop. It's a daily surprise to me that you're still in business. Believe me, I wouldn't be in here if I didn't have to be, especially with that damn cat. Stop fucking being mean to Hellebore, you absolute prick. I need some Bishop's Parasol for a work-related matter. Well, you can suck my dick. I'm gonna give it to you anyway, because hopefully you'll give me something, but fuck. You're an ass. Big flowers. It's that one. I already know, because, like, that's the only one that was, like, it has pink flowers. That's literally the description. When you go to it, it just says, it is pink flowers, or something, right? Yeah, pink flowers. Some of these are pretty easy to tell, because, like, the notes and everything, but... Which one was it? Eyebright, right? No. Royal Gentia. There it is. I see it. And because it's Royal Gentia, I'm gonna give it that, like, purple. Because purple's a royal color. I'm also almost positive this is this one, but... Again, gotta heed the system. What's this one? The old man of Coniston looks out across the lake with blind eyes. His mind wanders with the current, flowing gently southwards to the fork. Oh shit, I didn't read the note. Oh, I'll have to read that tomorrow. Damn, that's upsetting. That was stupid of me. Okay. The old man... Coniston. Oh wait, there's the old man. There's no Coniston or whatever, right? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so the old man looks out across the lake with blind eyes. His mind wanders with the current, flowing gently southward to the fork. Yeah! The heavens open up as I reach the fork. I take a moment to pause and listen to the sounds of water on water. I'm soaked through, but my spirits are high as I return home. I'm not empty-handed. 2 new plants today. I love the sound of water on water, dude. Very pretty plants. Gotta go over here. Undermere. Very interesting name. Sorry, baby. Eleanor Brammer. You're new. The insects make the salt marshes uninhabitable. People stay away and not much grows there, but I know where to find an unusual plant. I've drawn you a map in case you decide it's worth your time. I think it is. Over here. here? Damn. Okay. So what was it? You have to water the plants to get more? Oh, I got it. I zoned out. I wasn't even paying attention. Okay. Need you again. Let's try what we did before and overlap it, maybe. This is up here. Yeah! The air is thick with flying, biting insects, an unbearable plague. I fight against it for mere moments before I'm overwhelmed. If only I had some blue winter to keep them at bay. I do have winter boar. I'm pretty sure. Here it is. Winter boar. Dranthium. A plant with powerful mind-altering abilities. Those who inhale smoke from burning its long, sharp leaves elevate their awareness to levels otherwise unachievable. Some know Dranthium as Green Eye, a name derived from the telltale signs of overdose, where even the whites of the eyes take on a green tint. Damn. Okay, winter boar. Move this over so we can take this plant and not have any issues. There we go. Ooh, ooh. Wait. Oh. I think I know what that might be. There was an entry that said something about brightly colored things. Not gilded dendra. Unchuck maybe? No. Wait. Eyebright. That's gotta be it. Oh, Bethany Coleman. You're part of that group, right? Thank you for your help and discretion earlier. Yep, Sisterhood. Sisterhood is grateful, but the news that the Arda was poisoned with gilded dendra has everyone worried. The temporary acting Arda is... Oh, there's a temporary acting Arda. That must be the person that was like, hey, no one's supposed to be coming in these forests. I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but one of the sisters has gone missing. A runaway called Thea that we took in a few years ago. We're trying to find her, and Sister Charlotte remembered that the Jacob's Worth plant is said to help locate people. There you go. Solomon's Scepter, also known alarmingly as Hell's Gate, and sometimes Solomon's Scorn. The flowers of the plant are commonly used in witchcraft and other satanic practices. Many sweet-smelling small flowers grow along the stem. Small, sweet-smelling flowers. I'm trying not to forget that because I want to look at what I have. Small, sweet-smelling flowers. Dark purple flowers. Smells very... Oh, wait. I think this is it. This right here. What was it? No. No. Solomon's Scepter. Oh, yeah, that looks like it. Okay. Solomon's Scepter. Question mark. I kind of want to look at the other stuff we have and see if I have anything for that. That's this one. Actually, here. Sharp leaves. Sharp leaves. No, that doesn't look like it. What about this one? Nope. We're pretty sure we have Fever Kiss. It's that one. I'm pretty sure we have Gray Sandfire. Gilded Dendra. I think that's one we haven't figured out yet. Or maybe... Nope. Okay. So this might be Gilded Dendra. I think we have, yeah, this one, Gray Sandfire. Do we have Henshock? No. Tuberous bulbs. Ooh, wait. The fruit of the Henshock. So I think this is it. I didn't think it was before, but... Okay. And then... Meek Dew. No? Okay. Oh wait, that was this one, wasn't it? Or wait, no, this one. Yeah, the leaves look exactly the same. Or the flowers. So I'll say that's Meek Dew. Okay. Arthur Cook. It's my wife's birthday and I wanted to get her something special. There's a plant that she used to love as a child, but she hasn't been able to find any in years. It's sort of bulb-like and has a strong smell to it, but strong in a good way. And oh, the flower is more like lots of little flowers. Bulb-like. Hmm. Let's go. We already have that one identified, but I'm glad that I figured out what it was, because he gave me not that much to go on. Enos Aylford. We've had our eye on you for some time now. Join us. Praise the Dendru. Ha ha. I represent a group called the Seeds of Redemption. Your expertise would be very useful to us, and we have much to offer in return. Let us know we can count on you by leaving a single St. John's poppy flower outside of the Sagil Church before Friday. Do not make the mistake of ignoring us. Praise the Dendru. I kind of want to ignore it, because I'm just spiteful like that. Like, oh, you want to threaten me? Do not make the mistake of ignoring us? You want to threaten me? Okay, I just won't fucking do shit. Like, damn. Like, I have enough plants, I could probably kill them. But at the same time, can I ignore it? It's Wednesday, currently. It's Wednesday, my dudes. Fuck. A big part of me just wants to do it. Like, just give him the fucking flower or whatever. Because of the threat, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna ignore it. Even though the, like, people pleaser in me really wants to leave a flower. Verona Green. I've returned from Swin's side. I must admit I was hoping for more to go on, but there were certainly signs of a ritual having been performed at the stone circle. And the poor victim, well, the less said about him, the better. Reuben had it right, though. Grisly. I have the beginnings of a theory, but I'd like to run some tests on a sample of the gilded dendra. Okay. Do I have that? Labeled, at least. This. Here we go. Yay! I'm so happy when I get it right. Maiden's Sorrow. Rubbing the soft leaves of this plant between one's finger and thumb is said to help prevent the mind from wandering, providing a focusing effect. The flowers of this plant drop mournfully, but it is the thorns along the stem that are thought to lend it its name. You think you're cooler than me. You got designer shades just to hide your face, and you wear them around like you're cooler than me. What was it? Because I think it might be this one. Maiden's Sorrow. Yeah, it looks like that. Okay. Does it say that as rubber? No. Okay, so Maiden's Sorrow. You wear them around like it ain't shit. I'm gonna give you a little pet, because I keep spooking you and I don't mean to. I don't even know if this is working. There we go. Achievement unlocked, cat lover. Let's go. Oh, sorry, baby. And wood. My aunt died 2 weeks ago and I inherited her house. I've been sifting through her possessions and last night I found something unusual. In a forgotten corner of the attic I found a coffin. More unusual still, it was bound by strong vines, so strong that I cannot cut through them. I immediately thought of your shop. You know about plants, right? I do. And I have that one. Yay! Elderfinium. The petals of this flower can be brewed to create an antidote to Dendra's miasma, a deadly poison that causes the blood to slowly turn black, eventually resulting in a painful death. It has an intoxicating scent, similar to that of Solomon's scepter. So, it's been established that the former Arda of the... Oh, fuck. I keep forgetting what their group name is. Of the... This. Of the Sisterhood? Yeah, of the Sisterhood. Um, the former Arda of the Sisterhood died of Dendra's miasma. Because when we went and saw her body, it had black blood coming from her eyes, her nose, and her mouth. I think. I'm pretty sure. And maybe her ears. Um, but yeah. I'm assuming it's, like, established that she died from Dendra's miasma. If they haven't said it already. They might have said it already. Not long after the girl left home. Her father wept, but he was so caught up in his own grief that he let her go and did not look for her. Before she left, she returned to her hiding place and carefully retrieved the book, her excitement building as she did. She couldn't articulate what was so alluring to her about the book, but by now it had become an obsession. I'm so curious about this book. 5 miles... 5 miles south of the tallest but one. It grows in peace in the midday sun. Hmm. I will say I really enjoy the rain in this game. The tallest mountain? The tallest but one. This is the second tallest? This is the second tallest, right? Yeah. 5 miles south. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The forest here is lush and vibrant. Birdsong feels enchanting like the call of sirens. Nestled in the undergrowth under the shade of a birch tree, a plant grows. Oh, that's a funky looking plant. I don't like that. Hmm. And wood. I was able to strip away the swift snare's vines and lift the lid, with more than a little trepidation, I'll admit. To my relief, but also disappointment, the coffin contained nothing but dust. At least that's what I thought at first, but when I looked closer, I discovered a golden amulet embedded in the gray ash. On the back of the amulet is an inscription that says, "With Solomon's scepter I awake." Solomon's scepter, that's a plant, right? Yes, it is, and I have it. Hmm. Long vericund. Sometimes called witch's remedy, the long vericund is believed to lift curses. Small leaves grow in pairs along the stem. My brain is processing the words tonight faster than I can spit them out. Hmm. What was it? Elderfinium? No. What does Solomon's scepter smell like? Oh, it just says the smell is alluring. I was hoping for something a little bit more descriptive. Might be this one? It's a sweet scent. That could be it. Not that one. Oh, the long veracund. That's what it was. Those leaves look exactly the same. I feel like this is the long veracund instead. I'll put both. Let me re-look at the Meekdew and see what else could be it. Meekdew. Oh, right, I thought it was that because of the flowers. It doesn't say it hurts when you hold it either. So maybe I just don't have the Meekdew yet. David Schaefer! I heard a shepherd got killed by some wild beast up near the Swinside Stone Circle. They say it slaughtered half his flock as well. People around here don't seem too bothered, but it's got them panicked down Foxfield Way. The way he slowly backed into the darkness. Cantmere Eye. Okay, Cantmere. Cantmere. There's no, like, shape like an eye. Oh, wait, I forgot about this. There's an eye! Yep. Oh, if you leave the drawer open, you get access to everything. That's cool. So, that mirror. Ah! From Catmere, I followed the bearing of the eye and end up in a small forest north of Kendal. The woods are thick with briar and brambles, but amongst the tangled undergrowth, a type of flower is flourishing. I am so smart. I'm so goddamn smart. Right, so this one has berries. Small purple red berries. I've already established what Fever Kiss is. And they have the same leaves, so it can't be the other one. Or did I? Oh, it looks like I already labeled the other one, or used the other one and confirmed it. It's over here. Here it is. Yeah, Witch Fig. Uh... Dark red fruit. Yeah, I thought this was the Storian, but I mean, this is like purple red, it said, right? Yeah. It's also a cross section of the stem, and I feel like this one has a weirder stem. It does apple principles, but now I'm stuck on my own. This one doesn't have flowers. Alright, I guess we'll just leave it. The only other possibility is the Storian, but I don't want to have two Storian options up there. Verona! Well, this is getting interesting. I was able to confirm that it was indeed gilded dendra that was used at the Swinside ritual site. Excuse me. That's a worrying sign. It's a plant that is used in several of the darker incantations. And it can't be a coincidence that the very same plant was used to poison the Arda. Yeah, that's the second time that's been used. There must be a connection between this other murder and the Sisterhood. I need some mental clarity to think it through some more. Some maiden sorrow would help me a lot. Here you go. Beep. Red Ebony. Let's see. This plant is said to uncover that which is hidden, including buried treasure and secret writings. Oh yeah, because it's used in the okay, because it's used in the weird thing we have now. The red ebony is extremely rare and not well studied. Blood has been spilled over this plant, which is where the red part of the name is believed to come from, since confusingly, the large flower is in fact blue. Occultus grandis. Ah, that's a terrifying name. I have a feeling it's this. A large blue flower. Yeah, this is the red ebony, isn't it? Because it's a fucking weird looking dude. Also, why is it called red ebony instead of, like, I don't know, red agony? I have a feeling this is it. There's one way to test it, right? So that's a yes, I think. Ooh, does the map have anything? Elderfinium! The Great Oak. Right, that looks like it's it, I think. That's so... Whoa! That's so cool! Fucking love that. Okay, so since we know that now, let's go to where Elderfinium grows. Right there. Whoever wrote on my map has been very helpful. I would never have thought to come out to this desolate place in search of plant life, but a quick search yields exciting results. So this is Elderfinium, if the map is to be believed. Elderfinium makes me think of, like, elderberry, which is why I'm making it purple. And I feel like it's kind of confirmed, because it says Elderfinium grows here, and that's what we got, so I'm going to assume that that's Elderfinium. If I use it later and it's not, I'm going to be very upset. Reuben Ward. Looks like I'm going to have to make a trip to Black Combe. Verona knows something of the Swinside site that has me pondering. A piece of slate with a symbol drawn on it in black. Can't think of anywhere else around there where you'd get slate from. That and Bradley Miller keeps insisting that he saw something up at Black Combe. Then again, Bradley Miller does claim that Ferry stole his wheelbarrow. Isn't he the guy that someone said, like, he stares at squirrels or something? I'm going to spend the night out in the hills. I want to take some eyebright with me. Wouldn't want anyone sneaking up on me in the dark. That's a fair point. I used this, didn't I? I thought I used that. So I confirmed it, but I don't know. Here you go. Wild coal. Oh, the berries. So this might possibly be wild coal. Make it red. Because even though it's not spelled the same way, the coal bit makes me think of, like, C-O-A-L-E or C-O-A-L. I don't know where I was going, but yeah. Okay. And then, I swear I used this. So. I'm just gonna keep bringing all the correct ones over here until this is all full, and then I'll start them going back this way. Forest Vare. You're new. Oh! Why are his eyes glowing? Does it ever stop raining in Undermere? You have a reputation in town for knowing about unusual plants. I need some gray sandfire. Nobody around here seems to even know what I'm talking about, but I hope I'm in the right place now. That's what this was. There you go. Yeah! New book entry, Ember Soul. Ember Soul is thought to have protective properties. It is sometimes given as an offering to various deities in return for sanctuary. Produces flowers with many petals. Watch out for the leaves, they're razor sharp. Thicko mode. Okay, so this is confirmed gray sandfire. None of these hurt. These are all the flowers we have that are unmarked. And none of them hurt. That's 2 plants now that are like, oh yeah, they hurt when you touch them. And I'm like, I don't have any of those. What the fuck do I do if I don't have any? Loic to Ilgilhead, Foxfield to Crinkle Crags. At first she felt free, but it wasn't long before the reality of her situation began to take its toll. She stole food when she was hungry and slept in makeshift shelters, not knowing where she was going, not caring. Eventually she made her way to Graysdale Forest. Alright, see if we can figure this out. Loic to Ilgilhead. Ilgilhead. Loic. Ilgilhead. Foxfield. Foxfield to Crinkle Crag. Crinkle Crag. I feel like it wouldn't be just bam Crinkle Crags. Loic. Loic. I'm gonna cheat a little bit, otherwise we'll be here all night because I don't know what the fuck to do here. I'll only cheat like this if I really need to. Ooh, perfect. Okay. Okay, so it's on the path from Loic to Ilgilhead, but also on the path from Foxfield to Crinkle Crags. So Loic, Ilgilhead, Foxfield, Crinkle Crags. Is it here? Loic. Here? No. It's like here. The magpie sees me before I see it. I do not know how long it has been watching me, but I can tell that it's interested in my movements. A strange sensation creeps over me, and I feel an urge to leave this place, not before collecting a plant from further study. One for sorrow. Turning to leave, I see another magpie and another plant I've never seen before. 2 for joy. Oh, that also looks like the other plant. I was hoping maybe it said it hurt, but nope. Enos Elford. Ignoring our offer was a mistake. Oh, I forgot about this! The Denter is awoken, the redemption is upon us, and when it arrives, you will not be spared. I can't die, right? Like, that's not gonna... I'm not gonna die, right? Oh no, it's the lady. My mind is clouded. Dark. I see it and it sees me. all of me. Elderfinium is the answer. It must be. It's funny that I was just looking at that. It's not that one. It smells like sweet rhubarb. Dark purple flowers. Oh wait, no, I had one, didn't I? Uh, you were in the wrong spot. Whew. Okay. Larkshine. It releases stinging barbs triggered by light touch. The pain is said to be unbearable and can last for several days. Jeez. That is a very specific shape. I feel like I'll know that when I see it, and I have not seen it yet. No. Grace Enright. You're new. My mom was into horticulture. I found this among her things. Golden light. That's a plant, right? I'm not sure what long meg could mean, though. Is that another plant? Anyway, I thought you should have it just in case it's any help. She loved this shop. Oh. Golden light. Start at long meg. S3E2. Okay. Well, I guess we'll leave that there. Help me. The amulet. I can't remove it. It's drawing the life from me. Okay, I have... Yep, there it is. Fuck. Shit. I was so sure. Oh, it's this one, isn't it? I can feel it working, thank you. Oh, damn! That's so cool! You see it work right in front of you. That's sick as fuck. Actually. That's really cool. Cauldry. Uses of cauldry are not well known. Some say it has applications in dark magic, but this author has found neither substance nor specifics to back up those claims. Those who worship the huntress Arduino place the flower as an offering to ensure a successful hunt. It grows from a thin stem with small leaves. Okay, we have to edit this one because it's not it's not long varicant. I'm surprised I haven't figured out what that rising dread thing means yet. I've had like a close I've had a close call, but nothing yet. Amos, you're the guy that writes the letters to me. It's good to see you, my friend. I've been on the road so long I'd started to wonder if you were still on the other end of the letters I've been sending. I'm back in town for a few days though, and I wanted to give you these before I forgot. I found them in the pocket of an overcoat that belonged to your uncle. I almost threw them away, but oh, but I thought the symbols on them might mean something to you. Oh, that's like it's like this. I thought I saw. Yeah, right there. Okay. Okay. Sorry, kids. Gotta clear the desk. Clear your desks. So how do I? Oh wait. Okay. Well, let me get these out of the way. Looks like a lot. Gosforth. That's a really cool coin. Why can't we have coins like that? Robert Barrow's Medicinal Herbology, Blackhall wrote Kendall. A Briar's disc, often called a smuggler's disc, is a simple device that can be used to send coded messages. The location of cached cargo, for example. The principle is cunningly straightforward, but the code is undecipherable to prying eyes. Both parties must be in possession of a disc of identical size with the same symbols etched around its edge and a map. To encode a location, you would then place the disc over some named point on the map nearby and note whichever the symbol is pointing to the location. It may be necessary to string multiple symbols together, but you can use this method to reach any other point on the map as required. That's what this is, a Briar's disc or a smuggler's disc. Okay. We'll keep that then. Devil's Night Trap. This plant is known colloquially as corpse's friend. If ingested as a seed, it will cause a slow, agonizing death, and the plant will grow out of the body once deceased. Jesus! It has a lightly pleasant scent, not dissimilar to pine needles. Boiling the root in vinegar creates a tonic against fevers and poisons. So, sorry. If you eat the seed, you die a horrible, agonizing, slow death. If you boil the root in vinegar, you make a tonic against fevers and poisons. Okay. Trimblehuff. Trimblehuff is traditionally used as decoration at weddings, as it is thought to strengthen relationships. A cross-section of the small cup-like flowers. They generally point downwards to avoid filling with water and to allow easy access for pollinating insects. I don't think we have anything like that. No. Okay. Can I put this in here? No. Okay. Apparently it's an item. I mean it is, but like I think of it as more of a clue, but you know. Simone! I have no idea what any of this means, but it seemed like something you might find interesting. I found it while clearing out the nook off the east wing. Baylock's elixir. Made from the crushed petals of 3 distinctive plants, Baylock's elixir is a potent aid to memory, allowing those who drink it to ensure that they retain important information that they will never forget. Care must be taken after drinking, however, to avoid the fate of Greygale, who slowly lost her mind after taking Baylock's and staring at a blank wall for 12 hours. Got it. Cool. Sick. Staring at a blank wall for 12 hours. Damn. In Tibet, a noble elder stood silently watching starry skies. A young woman alone in the world, she was taken in by the sisterhood and given a home. It was a chance for redemption, a new start. This sounds like an anagram. Is that the word for it? Anagram? I don't know, but it sounds like what you would use to like remember the days of the week or like the months or whatever in school, you know? In Tibet. Tibet. Uh wait. Nesswss. Okay. Noble noble elder stood silently watching starry skies. Yeah. I found myself in a patch of moorland surrounded by jagged peaks. Surrounded by jagged. Oh, Jesus, fuck. Surrounded by jagged peaks and menacing clouds. A distinctive plant stands out against the swaths of purple heather. And there, another. Ooh, I see why those would stand out. They're actually really pretty. Those are fucking gorgeous. Okay, it's been a second since I've looked in here and tried to figure out what these are. Devil's Nightcap. It has a light, pleasant scent. Looks like fairly thin leaves. No. Not dissimilar to pine needles. So it's not any of these, I don't think. None of the leaves match up. I don't have Geranthium, do I? No. Sharp leaves. Yeah, that's a sharp leaf one. And I don't know about that. Calderi. Grows from a thin stem with small leaves. Thin stem, small leaves. That might be it. Calderi. Stop it with the thumping. I really don't know if you guys can hear that, but every once in a while there's like a dun dun dun. And it sounds like someone's stomping above me, and it's freaky. Damn, so many pages. Excuse me. Yeah, this is the one that I said I would know immediately because it's so specific. That one's berries, which is why I thought it was this one. Yeah. Okay, so I don't think I can label any of the rest of these. Simone, hello. Long Meg? Sorry, I've not heard of it, but I'll keep an eye out for you in the library. As long as you can get me some fever kiss, that is. Too many late nights at the library are taking their toll. I do have fever kiss. Mountain Astery. Promotes an aura of confidence and persuasiveness. A large cup-like flower produces a stale, damp smell. Alright, put this with the others. Over this away. Cup-like flowers. Oh, Trimble. I haven't looked at this. Oh, these are downward. I don't have any like that. Mountain Astery. Large cup-like flowers. I have no idea. David! There's talk around town of a woman who wears a green mask made of jade. Yeah, she's come to me repeatedly. And she's also in some woman's dreams. There are all sorts of oddballs in Undermere, but that's certainly unusual. Yeah. What's this? Backfoot candle. Okay. Backfoot. Backfoot. Candle. Candle leads me east of Wastwater. To the north of the mighty Scafell Pike grazes the sky. The tallest peak in England. The challenge beckons to me, perhaps another time. So we are in England. I figured because someone said mum, but... it's the plant! It's the plant I said I know! And I know it! It's the plant! Was it Devil's Nightcap? No. Oh, I haven't looked at Ember Soul. Oh, Razor Sharp. Fuck. Yeah. Yeah. Here is Larkshine. Yeah. Yeah. I need a girl like you. I'm not even gonna second guess myself on that one. That's like a given, I feel like. Oh, it's the guy with the green eyes. I've been talking to people around town, trying to learn as much as I can about this beast that is rumored to have been seen in these parts. In the old world, they call this thing the Servant, but the people here seem to have forgotten that name. Except the group calling themselves the Seeds of Redemption. That's the group that approached me. and threatened me, and is continuing to threaten me. There's something I did not expect, and they have made it clear that they want me to stay away from the servant. They seem to worship it, but I'm getting distracted by my Duranthium supplies are low. I need more. Okay. Do I have Duranthium, like, labeled and confirmed, or is that a guess somewhere? Actually, I could look. Nope. Fuck. Shit. No! Oh no. Am I dead? The shiver travels down my spine. My mind is broken. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, it's like a little puzzle. Nope. Okay. Nope. Nope. Oh, there we go. Nope. Oh, it's a random piece up there. Did I do that? Oh, you can move it. Okay. That one. Ooh, there we go. Nope. This one maybe? No. It's very close, but I don't think that's it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. Ooh, right there. Yes. Okay. That one. That one. Boom. I feel revived. My mind is holding it. So I just had to do a puzzle, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. There's a hint button to the right of the shop screen. It might be helpful if you get stuck. I do think I might be stuck. Oh no, did I start the day over? Oh god. Okay. Map through the viewing device. Why? Tomb of the Hunter, the Great Oak. Yeah, there's Tomb of the Hunter, the Great Oak. Yeah, what about it? I don't care about that. I need Duranthium. Okay, what if I go to one of these? B14. The memorial bears the name Swift Prior. It stirs a memory. He was one of the Dreyer. Theirs is a lonely life at the mercy of a dangerous addiction. They build a tolerance to the Dranthium sap in childhood that they might benefit from its potent effects, but they will die if they stop taking it. An unusual plant grows sparsely around the memorial. Is this going to be the Dranthium? Please tell me it's the Dranthium I need. Please. It's this one, right? I think this is it. Let's go. Palliance. Most plants offer a small improvement to air quality, but the palliance is in a class of its own. It is sometimes called sweet breath, thanks to the freshness of the air in its vicinity. The many short leaves of this plant are thought to help filter toxins from the surrounding area. So this is Dranthium. Put you over here with your buddies. Oh my god, these are practically the same plant, just different leaves. Jesus. Okay. So... Whoa! Sorry guys, my phone is going off. I'm just getting rid of email notifications quick. I don't like seeing them all built up. Okay, there we go. Now it's just the important shit. Palliance, that's what it was. So the fresh receivers and the leaves look similar. I'm gonna say this is Palliance. Presumably. See, the dun dun dun. At least once a day, I think it does that. Oh, this guy, Reuben Ward. I crept around Black Combe 2 nights ago in the pitch black. That eyebright is some potent stuff. I could see clear as day. Up on the fell, I found a shallow pit full of skulls. Some deer, fox, badger, and some human. There was an eerie silence about the place, and every part of me was screaming to get out of there. Back down on the flat, I heard a terrible noise, like an axe maker's whetstone, but unmistakably animal. High in the ridgeline, I saw a cowled woman wearing a jade mask watching me, and beside her something dark, inhuman, and bloody huge. Oh, I really should have given that lady the other plant. I don't mind admitting that I'm out of my depth on this one. I'll need to speak to Verona again. While I'm here, I'll grab some wild coal for my pounding head. Oh, I really should have. Oh my god. You'd have been out drinking too if you'd seen what I did. It sounds exactly like what that woman dreamt. Oh, I should have fucking. Oh my god, I'm so pissed at myself. I should have just said fuck it to her happiness and given her the other plant and been selfish so I could see what she has a vision of. Norwood. A bite of the crunchy root of this plant has the effect of a cold bucket of water thrown over the face, an unpleasant sensation accompanied by sharp focus. Excuse me. His claim that Norwood releases spores that are invisible to the naked eye, showing up only under unnatural light. Oh, that's... Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I don't know how the fuck I would be able to know that it shoots out spores. Okay. Next person. Bing, bing, bing. Amy Sullivan. Oh, you're new. My son is very sick. Someone told me about a mushroom that produces a thick, milky liquid that will help relieve his stomach pains. I'm willing to try anything. Not this one. No. So is it sunset? Nope. So it wasn't any of those. Unless this isn't copper Caledonian. I thought something had like had liquid. I don't think it's this one. Yeah, it smells rotten. Yeah, I don't think it's that one. I have my phone in my hand and it keeps thinking I'm trying to unlock it with my finger. Whoops. A mushroom that produces a thick, milky liquid. Maybe I'll try this one. Yep, no, that didn't work. Okay, that was stupid. That was stupid. That was stupid. That was stupid. Ah! Yeah, it says it should not be eaten, so it's not that one. Nope. Okay, I'm just gonna flip through all these. Oh, wait. Bishop's Parasol. It says we figured out what Bishop's Parasol was. Oh, wait, this one. Yeah! Yeah! That was more tough than it should have been. I was looking for like this color mushroom instead of looking at all colors. Poor Reuben, he was a little worse for wear this morning. He took it hard when his wife died and never did quite give up the drink. I think I know what ritual was performed at the stone circle. It all adds up. It was a summoning spell. Someone called to something across the void and tried to bring it here, and with the state of that body all torn to shreds, I'd say they succeeded. Oh, the guy that had his flock, some of his flock taken too, and then the gilded dendra. That really got me thinking. I found this in Dr. Worthing's bestiary, a little light reading for you. I'm headed to Grisdale Forest again. The sisterhood will know more. It has many names. Some call it the Woken Dendru, believing it to be related in some way to the deadly gilded dendra plant. Others call it the Night Stalker, the Miasma, or the Dread, but the most common name for it in the Shires is the Servant. So the Servant is the same as the Woken Dendra? Not that one. Or the Woken Dendru. Oh, praise the Dendru. Ah! We're figuring things out and it's scary! I don't like it. You'll have heard of it in children's songs such as Keep the Fire Burning and Servant and Master, and there are hints of it in the older stories, but nobody alive has seen it in the flesh. It is said that the dead ground northeast of Tibet, where nothing but black Digitus mortis grows, was caused when the servant last walked our lands hundreds of years ago. Northeast of Tibet. Tibet was up here somewhere. Yeah. Northeast. Here? The wide area of blackened ground here is known to the locals as Dead Man's Field. Dark mushrooms protrude from the soil like fingers reaching out from the ground. Ugh. Those look a little bit too dick-shaped, if you ask me. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this. Hmm. Okay. Describe yourself to me, you're the only remedy. Every day she attentively followed the teachings of the Arda. Every day she patiently performed the tasks given to her. Every day thoughts of the book itched away at the back of her mind. I bet I can look at that with the thingy that shows things. Let me try. Yeah! Secret uncovered is a secret no more. 2 miles north of Foxfield. Foxfield, 1, 2. Three ravens circle above their caws and croaks, cleaving the silence in omen. I take what I came for and leave. I would too if there were 3 ravens cawing at me. Let's give you a little pet. I haven't pet you in a second. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Jagged leaves. Cut jagged leaves. Sharp jagged leaves. There are a couple things that had jagged leaves that I hadn't named yet. Uh. I want to do 5808, but I didn't have both my hands up to do 8. So I just went boop boop. Mm. Yeah, this doesn't look like the meek do. So I don't think it's that. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I know I had like 2 entries in there that were sharp something. Library friend! In reference to your question the other day about Long Meg, I'm afraid I do not have an answer, but Calder Abbey has a wealth of knowledge on local lore. If you ever go there, the monks will request a plant from you, but they won't tell you what they want. Sort of test. They've never allowed me in to look through their stacks. Okay. Calder Abbey. I remember that one because we had the one where it was like, oh, they live in a castle west of Calder Abbey or something, or west of the Abbey, I think it said. Only a friend may enter. Only a friend. I feel like I remember there being a plant that represented that, like, friendship or something. Corpse's friend. Hmm. Uh, ooh, an offering of fox button is considered by some to represent a contract of friendship between strangers. Okay, so we need fox button. Right here. Yeah! Sheep snag. Oh, sheep snap. Sorry. Sheep snap is thought to bring good fortune when prepared correctly. The green seed pods of the sheep snap have a hard outer shell and sound hollow when tapped. To the south, they call this plant bulbs of Bayon. Guarding Long Meg. There's a stone circle north of Undermere. According to local legends, some hundreds, perhaps even thousands of years ago, a witch known as Long Meg lived nearby along with her daughters. They were wild, godless people who practiced evil magic until one night they went too far, and Meg and her daughters were turned to stone. The tall stone that stands apart from the main circle is called Long Meg by the locals. Okay. Stone north of Undermere. Okay. Oh fuck. Shit, I wasn't paying attention. Okay, let's water some plants then. North of Undermere. Oh, the Daughter's Stone Circle. Okay, okay, okay. Start at Long Meg. 1, 2, 3 south, east 2. Haha! The river in its youth here flowing swiftly through the rocks with a melodic gurgle. Among the tall grasses that line the riverbank is a much more unusual looking flower. I feel like I have something that is that in the book. Once we hit the end of the day, by the way, the end of day 10, I'll end stream since we're close to 3 hours. It was something new, wasn't it? Not either of those. Oh, this is the Ember Soul. This right here. Ember Soul. Put it there. Just in case, but I'm pretty sure. I don't think I'm gonna force myself to put a question mark if I'm pretty sure that that's what that is. Excuse me. No. I know there was one that was like upside down. No. Trimblehuff. Okay, so this is a possible Trimblehuff. Straight to hell, straight to hell. Whoa, 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 whoa. Verona! The Sisterhood are trying my patience again. If the old Arda was around. But she's not. They've kept secrets for hundreds of years. If ever there was a time to share them, it's now. They know of a way to defeat this servant, some ritual or weapon or something, but their stubborn pride won't bring them to ask for help. Well, I won't sit idly by and do nothing. I'd better have a little chat with this new Arda, and I think I'll take some mountain astery with me. Okay. Just let me figure out if I have that. I know it's not one of the ones I've labeled. Yeah, no. Large cup-like flowers. Produce a stale, damp smell. Okay, not that one. It's like sweet rhubarb. No. Yay! It wasn't this one. Oh, okay. Oh no. What have I done? Ooh, okay, you can move. I want to figure this out. This one. Do I have to turn it? I don't think I have to turn these when I bring them up, actually. No. Shit. No. Fuck. Little dash, log line. No. No. No, that's not it. Wait, maybe it is. I think it might be. Yeah! Oh. Black Hole Road, Kendall. Copper Caledonian. 3 new plants? Yo! Damn, that was very useful. Okay. I'm assuming it's this, because I remember it being cup-like, right? Yeah! Mountain Astery. What was the new one? Here it is. Okay, so this isn't Trimblehuff, this is Weeping Bell, I think. Okay, cool. Next person, please. Thomas Green, you're new. I finished the designs you asked me to work on. Very careful unwrapping these. Some of the glasswork is quite delicate, and I've taken great care transporting them. My lab equipment is finally here. I'll now be able to brew elixirs using ingredients from my plants. Whoa. Ooh. Patterson's Guide to Fatal Fungi and Their Antidotes. Spring wax cap. Sometimes fatal, can usually be cured by taking hop heart boiled in vinegar. Sunset Mount cap, generally not fatal in small doses. Use crushed leaves from sour bandy to cure. Bishop's parasol. Often fatal, can be remedied using the sap from lemon dandy. Copper Caledonian, often fatal, no known cure. Farmer's worry, often fatal, an antidote can be made using royal gentian. So we have a thing for this. How do we know? Okay, lots of this maybe. Butterdale. That's 5. These have 4. Palliance? And St. John's Poppy? Oh, wait. Oh, I think it's Eyebright. I think. Oh, wait, but there's no. I think it's this. Whatever this is. Oh! Let's go! I fully guessed. I fully guessed. Here, we'll put elixirs, since apparently that's a thing now. We'll put elixirs over here. So this is Baylock's elixir. Good to know. I also don't know what this is. I used it for the thing, but I don't know what it is. No idea. Alright, well, we have it. Pittibibbies. Pittibibbies. Yeah. Bethany Coleman. Oh, you're the woman from the Sisterhood. The new Arda wouldn't like me being here, but the forest is in danger. I spoke with Verona Green earlier. It's bad. If the Dendru is awoken, then it will come for us. You must place an offering at the altar of Arduina. Okay. It seems Beth has been able to keep her fellow sisters away from this part of the forest, for now at least. The trees are thick here, old too. The altar seems to belong here as much as part of this forest. As much a part of the forest as the gnarled trunks and twisting roots. I must place an offering to the goddess Arduina. It's another choice one. Ember Soul or Caldery. Ember Soul. Thought to have protective properties, is sometimes given as an offering to various deities in return for sanctuary. What does Caldery do? Ooh, dark magic. Place the flowers. Oh, wait. Those who worship the huntress Arduina place the flowers in offering to ensure a successful hunt. It grows from within. Ooh. So, a successful hunt or protection? Oh, sanctuary. Shit. Shit. Well, I did make that guy angry at me. I feel like sanctuary, maybe? I really don't know about that one. Evulum. The scent it produces is considered overpowering by some, but it is said to stimulate the senses and rejuvenate aching bones. Evulum has many short, pretty leaves. That might be it, but Natalie Cooper. That feels like a real person name. I'm being harassed by loonies, shouting about their redemption, saying they're going to set it free, whatever the hell that means. Well, they can take their seeds of whatever woken something or other nonsense and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. I'm not joining their damn cult. I just want to tend my garden in peace. Me too, bitch. I'm looking for some larkshine to drive them away if they come round again. Uh, I have that somewhere. Apparently, after using them for the elixir, it just threw them right here. Here it is. Lyle of Neptune. Also called Truth Sayer, this plant will force a person to tell the truth when eaten. The sparsely petaled pale flower gives off a strong scent. Yeah, I don't see anything like that. Alright. Ooh. In time, she learned that the sisterhood had secrets, or had she always known that? Had she come to them by chance, or had she sought them out deliberately? She wasn't sure. But by now she knew what she wanted, and she would do anything to get it.